this year's angel has something slightly different on it. It has 3D holly leaves. So I thought I'd show you the easiest way that I've found to attach them to the skirt. So as you can see, I've already attached one, and once the skirt is sewn together, it will look like this. So in the pricking, you will find that you have 6 holly leaves. Now I couldn't decide on whether to do 3 each or 2, and I've done 2 because I felt that 3 would be a little bit too bulky. But I've given you 3 leaves to do. Now I would leave these leaves on the pricking until you're ready to use them, because as you can see, they're quite tiny, and this is the reason I've given you all 6 rather than just give you one pricking and say to make 6, because I think somewhere along the line someone might go astray. So by having the pricking for all 6 or all 4, you can do it and then take them straight off and put them straight onto your angel skirt. Now I'm taking the first one off, and the areas that you are going to place them are in these cloth stitch areas. There's one underneath here, and I'll show you the back. It's not very pretty, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be on the inside. So I'm now going to attach this second leaf to this second cloth stitch. Now I found that the threads are quite thick, being metallic, and it was quite hard to get a needle that fitted through them. So I'm using my Lazy Susan, and what I'm doing is I'm just bringing it up, my Lazy Susan. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because this is stiffened. So stiffen your skirt first, because these holly leaves aren't stiffened, they're metallic, so in actual fact they hold their shape pretty well. So I've pushed my Lazy Susan up. I'm just going to pull it back slightly to create a loop, and then I'm going to pull that loop, and then I'm going to take my Lazy Susan out and just lay it on the floor, on the pillow. Now I'm hoping you can see my thread. I tried to use black so that perhaps you could see it, but I'm not sure. So, but there's my loop, and I've just pulled 2 threads from my holly leaf, and I'm just going to put the ends through that loop. I'm not moving the loop all the way down, so you can see there's my ends through my loop. I'm then going to hold on to the ends of the holly leaf, the ends of my Lazy Susan, and pull. Now as soon as you've got to this point here where your Lazy Susan thread is snug against your skirt, you can let go of these ends, but you want to leave a length either side, because what's going to happen is your Lazy Susan is going to pull the threads through. So there we are, and once you've got a loop this side, you can then pull the ends and they will come through. So there's one, there should be a second one somewhere. You can take your Lazy Susan out. Now this would work the same with a crochet hook, but I think personally I don't tend to use a crochet hook in my lace because I am forever splitting ends. Okay, so that's my first 2 through. So I'm now going to do the same again in a slightly different spot. So push your Lazy Susan through, pull it back a bit, make a loop, then pop it on your pillow, find the next 2 ends, put the ends through the loop. I think this is by far the fiddliest angel that I have done, but having done the first one, it looks so pretty. Okay, so there's my ends. Let me pull my Lazy Susan thread down. I can now let go of my ends because my Lazy Susan thread is at the point of the dress, and I can now pull my other ends through, and you can see here on the back, here's my ends coming through. So I've got 2 more of those to do. Now don't worry if there's a gap, because it will get covered up by your 3 beads. So pull it through. So I'm just going to bring the other 4 threads through, and then I will come back and show you what to do with them once you've got the first one to the other side. Okay, so here we are with the ends pulled through. Now one of them I missed a thread, so there is actually a spot where there are 3 threads going through one, but that's fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tie them all in a knot. What you don't want to do is tie any that have come through the same hole in a knot, because that knot runs the potential of coming back through the front. So what I'm using are threads from different areas. So this is one that is over this side, and this is a thread from over that side. So all I'm going to do is tie a reef knot. Not too tight, but tight enough to hold it. And once I've tied that reef knot, so I know I've done it, I'm just going to trim the ends. I'm not trimming them really close. I'm just trimming the ends so that I know I've tied them and they are short. So I shall carry on doing that, tying and just a reef knot, and then tying the ends, trimming them. So I've still got a length left. Now if you've got a thread that is particularly long, I will just say this thread here is longer than the others, so I am not going to trim this one after I have tied it, because I'm going to use this one to sew the beads on. So I will show you how to sew the beads on once I've tied these. Right, I have now sewn both of my leaves into place, and I've tied everything off apart from the last 2. These 2 have been tied once, but they will be tied again in a second time after the beads have gone on. Now I've got a needle here which both the thread goes through and my beads go through. So these are 3mm beads, and it's just worth checking before you attempt to sew them on that they go through the needle goes through the eye of the bead. So now I'm just going to go up through my lace, put my bead on, that's it, and then back down the lace. Now this thread will get caught on everything possible, so just sort of be aware of that. So I'm going to put 3 beads on for the holly berries. So I'm just picking a different spot to come up each time and a different spot to go down. You don't want to go down the same hole. So you can turn it upside down and get the bead through that way, because that then the bead then holds, the weight of the bead holds bead down and the thread down, so you're not likely to catch it on anything. So I'm just set the last bead going on now. Just going to rearrange them slightly. That's it. Just remember that if you're not happy with where it is, you can just literally pull the bead up and the thread will come out. You will then have to re-thread your needle, but if it's better to do that than have the bead where you don't want it. But I think that's now sitting better. So as you can see, there's my holly leaves, there's my holly berries. Just give them a little nudge. There we go. So when the dress is worn, you'll get 3D holly. And now, because we've got all the beads on, just simply tie this thread again. I'm just doing an ordinary reef knot because I've saved some of my fabric stiffener. So I'm just going to trim these again. And I'm just going to, I've saved some of my fabric stiffener and I'm just going to paint across the back of all those knots. So that will then keep those knots together. And then once that has dried, trim your threads down. Don't worry too much if it looks a bit messy, because as you can see, it doesn't look messy from the front. And then all that's left is to sew up the back, attach your wings and pop your head on, and your angel's finished.